Okay.
Jeff,
I just
can the
done the
microphone
recording, by the way.
can the microphone be moved to be closer to you and it's on the same side as who's speaking?
The microphone and the speaker is all in one unit in the middle of the room with the camera. So no, we have to just speak up and turn towards it. Is that better? Can you hear me now?
When you're facing and close, it's okay, but most of the time it's pretty muffled.
Okay, thanks, Dave. We'll try to face the speaker, the microphone. We can hear you well. Actually, the speaker is working pretty well in the room. We can hear and see everyone on Zoom in the room, I think, pretty well. So should I take a minute to talk about the tech? I mean, it's not ideal. I don't know how to make this room any better, even with more stuff. Any feedback? There's also free Wi-Fi here now, so if you need it, the RDP Wi-Fi is the free Wi-Fi network in the building. And that's what we're zooming on. It seems to be working fine. All right. It is 7:30. And so I think, Lynn, you wanted to go first with show and tell online. Is that right? Are you muted? Here, Lynn. Where is it? There's Lynn. I have to make her a co-host, maybe. Thanks for bearing with me as we get through this. It's early. Okay. It'll all be over.
We expect a written manual.
Yeah. Okay, is Lynn online? I think I see Lynn, but I don't hear you. Lynn, oh, I see. Now I see Lynn.
Yeah, you're unmuted. No, you're unmuted.
And Lynn's tech support.
Want to go to screen?
Okay. Should we start with the room? We can do show and tell in the room if we need a few more minutes. Or are you close?
Screen two? I guess it's this one.
She's got it. Thank you, Lynn.
You go back up one.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, mine right there.
Am I still, can you hear me, Jeff, or am I still muted?
You're perfect.
You're good.
We hear you.
Good.
We see your stuff, and we even see this one live in the room. Andrea brought it in.
It's view. So it's view. Bear with me. Can you go view?
It's normal view. So why is it,
Slideshow, I don't know.
why is it there?
It's down here.
Excuse me.
Better view.
Okay. Okay, it's good. I can read.
Let's do the stop share. All right, let's get this back where we want it to be. There you go. Now let's go back to
Down there. So we're going.
Now we lost the plant.
And now let's go
All right, it's live here. Share.
share sound. Do share.
Here we go.
And
Are we there?
we come back around.
Now do your full screen.
So let me see what happens if we do page up.
Here we go. There we
So
go.
page up, page down, you're gonna be fine.
Okay, good. Can everybody see SF Show and Tell September 7th? Okay, here we go.
So we have another gorgeous virtual show and tell table tonight. There's 46 orchid photos from 16 contributors, which is about, we usually have about 60 or 70. So I'm betting a lot of
Lynn?
them will be on your live table tonight.
Lynn, it's not full screen on Zoom.
It's not, Tom?
It's not full screen on Zoom.
It's not full screen on Zoom.
No.
This is a slideshow.
We lost that when you switched.
PowerPoint has to be on the slideshow. Full screen. There should be an icon.
You're not getting full screen on slideshow.
Your
All right, let's see.
second to the left on
So-
the top is probably full screen.
Here it is.
Now, are you seeing full screen or are you seeing the slideshow?
Full screen.
Still seeing the
Slideshow.
Oh, seeing the screen slideshow. Okay.
Slideshow, but
Somebody
it's,
said full screen.
it's still full screen enough.
All right, so let's do this. And go back to for a moment.
Why don't you just put it back and go forward?
There.
Unmute. All right, so now you see the full screen, correct?
Yeah.
Good.
Thank you, sweetie.
All right, and now let's just make sure we can go to the second full screen image.
We're not.
Page down.
Okay, are you good?
And let's see.
Look good.
Can you see the flowers here?
No.
You gotta-
No, we just see the title page.
So just a second, I've got to figure out why we're not changing images here. We're not. All right, so we're gonna have
Do
to.
your right arrow, shoot forward of that.
You had it before twice. Very nice. Now it's gone.
So,
Resume slideshow.
oh, there we go. Yes, it paused itself. Okay, there you go.
There, you got it?
There, see flowers now?
Okay, there we
All
go.
right, good. See orchids now?
Yeah.
All right,
All right, thanks.
you're welcome.
Okay, so here we go. We have 46 pictures, so not as many as usual. A lot of you have never submitted photos for show and tell, so don't be shy. We'd love to see what you've got. Let's get started. The order in which you will see them is the order in which I received them, so no preferences here. Oop. Now I'm struggling. Hold on. This is just not right. So Andrea, oh no, you're not seeing it, are you?
No.
Title page. Up and down arrows don't work.
Nope. I'm so sorry.
Hey, Tom.
You had them before. Can you just go back?
I don't know. It's not letting me just go back. The back arrow is faded out. Is it coming? Thanks, Susan. Susan, Tom, it's not advancing.
So the question is, how do we advance it? So how'd you go back up there?
I have no idea. I mean, I go down, but it doesn't go down over there.
Let's see. Let's just see what's happening here. Okay, so the same thing is
I
happening.
know, I touched
You have to
it.
go back to the
Didn't do
Zoom
it.
slideshow, and then let's go push down. See this button here,
I know.
page down?
Okay.
There you go.
So use
Now we're
these two
seeing them.
buttons.
Beautiful
Can you
flowers,
just
yes.
listen for a second?
Okay,
So when I do that, it's not going down over here, so I'm not getting my new notes.
oh. So let's see what's.
Okay, now I do.
So you have to click on the image.
Okay, here we go. Go back up.
Okay.
So here we go. Cross your fingers. So Andrea O'Date was the first early bird this month, and because she's been waiting almost a year for this to bloom, is BLC Picotee Passion by LC Tokyo Magic, an unregistered hybrid, which she got last year at the SFOS member sale. The first inflorescence has 4 blooms, and she says there's another inflorescence ready to open. This is a nice flat flower with a gorgeous lip, and we can see many of the great Laelias and Cat Layas in its background, Anceps, intermediate, Bregery in particular. Nice job, Andrea. This is quite a beautiful showing from Tom Pickford's Cat Lay Bicolor. It has 10 flowers on 1 inflorescence.
We're not seeing it.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, so what you're gonna have to do, I think, is you,
I have to
Excuse
go
me.
up there every time.
so I think, so you want it, this is the image you want on the screen, right? So I think you have to do,
You use the same computer every time. I don't know why it's different tonight.
because we have the video plugged in,
Oh.
somehow it's making it different.
Okay.
And I'm not sure why
We have
that
to unplug
HDMI
the video.
cable is in there and why that's.
Can we unplug it for now?
I think so. Otherwise, we're gonna. go
We have
crazy.
it plugged into the TV so Susan and Judy can see it. That's why it's different.
So they'll have to watch behind you.
Okay.
All right, just a minute. Let me pull.
We're gonna pull the
HDMI
plug on
cable.
you too.
It's okay.
Okay.
So now.
Ah,
we're gonna go back and do a stop. Okay. And let's do screen share. Let's do screen share. All right, now we have.
Should be 2. I think it should be this one.
See,
What's
oh, excuse
this?
me, just a second. Okay, so now let's go find our.
All the way to the top.
Okay. So the screen we want to share is this one.
And this one they're on.
That's where it's going to pop up in a minute.
Okay. Zoom up.
Yes.
There we go. Good job.
No,
Thank you.
Not in the note page.
no, I'm not on my notes page here.
Okay, so for some reason, it's not. Sorry, this is so buggy tonight. Here, is this the slide we're on?
Mhm.
So, let's see, for some reason, when we toggle back, it toggles both screens. So stop share. Let's
You need to
go
get out of the chair.
share screen. No, it's okay. So let's see what screen. That's
That's not it.
okay. So that's not it. So what's happening is I'm picking the wrong screen for some reason. Share screen. Wait a minute, let's try this one. Share.
I don't think it's letting us.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to close this
We're going to start over.
and we're going to stop share. And we're going to restart the.
Are you in PowerPoint then? Yeah.
Yes, we're starting over.
We're all learning.
Go off the view.
Good job.
What's happening is that it's duplicating the view on both screens. Where's the stop share? Who can share all
Look
participants?
at you. Okay, fine.
Okay. So, excuse me. Okay, we're gonna leave the meeting for a minute and come back in.
All right.
Some lights.
So what do we got?
It's a learning process. We'll be fine. We just
I
need
think you already
things.
saw this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody knows and loves that one.
What's this one? Quiz. Who brought it?
I brought it, Tokyo Magic.
There you go. ELC. Okay, this one. I got these. I can tell you these is Encyclia. This is the Cymbidium. I brought it because it's the only Cymbidium I had in bloom. And I thought with the title of the talk, I'd bring a Cymbidium and some companions. So,
Closer.
Encyclia and
Can you get a lot closer with the camera?
like this.
That's good.
All
That's
right.
great.
You see the lip? All right. Bill.
Jason Douglas brings in,
Oh, nice, yeah.
it's called Phalaenopsis Pretty Lip. Yep, it's got a pretty lip. Look at that thing. It's one of those with the extra wide lip. They used to call it, what was it, helo lip?
Big lip.
Yeah. But it's extra, extra, extra wide if you can't quite see it there.
Oh,
Yeah, it works.
yeah. Okay. That's what I brought in. Let's see how well it magnifies. Can you see it?
No.
This is a Platystelli. We actually have a series of Platystellis because both Corey and Beth brought them.
Jason brings in Odontoglossum Cynthia Hill.
And if you don't know Cindy Hill, she's a legend.
It's a little washed out on the camera, but the color here is really intense. Nice spotting on it. Great definition. And it likes my shirt for some reason. Hello. Over here. Come on, camera. Over here. Oh, well, anyway.
Corey, you want to tell us about your Nepenthes astro something? Astrophora. Can you see all the tiny little flowers? Little purple part.
You need to put them a little lower. All we could see was your hand in the pot.
It was tiny. They were like little fruit flies. Okay. We have two left. This one. You see it? Kind of looks like that Mardi Gras picture on the orchid masquerade. This is what? It's a Bill Weaver cheetah. And last but not least, the next one out. Let's see what that one.
And Jason again. Hello, hi. Hello, little camera.
There we go.
Jason brings in Oncidium Sunlight. What? Wild honey.
She sent it to the wrong person?
There we go.
No, something else. Allison and Abbott's one. What are the teachings that was just someone who wasn't practicing believer in dark?
So this is one of Bill's miniatures.
Abbott's die.
It's a small one you can lift.
What is it?
What is it?
Yeah. Okay. Is Lynn back?
Oh my God.
What, Finky, what?
Golden teacher strangled, daughter drowned, coroner's report revealed. This is one of my good friends from school, from growing up. Authority from my synagogue.
Hi.
Authorities Mondays released the death of a mother and her 11-year-old daughter who were murdered in their Boone County home last Sunday.
Oh, somebody is not muted.
Sorry, I just muted you. All right. Is Lynn back? Did we get Lynn back? I don't see Lynn. I think you scared Lynn off.
They said it was very often when he joined. Yeah.
Okay, so should we do a talk?
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Now the tricky part. Let's see.
Tricky part is, oh, wait a minute, no. Do you have adapter?
Camera's gonna go away while we do this. So actually, the people online probably can't hear us. Can you hear us?
Yeah, we saw Dennis a minute ago, but then you guys disappeared.
Can you hear me now?
Barely hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Barely. Turn around and face the word.
You're on my computer. We'll be right back. We're just downloading the slides because I should have done this before.
Good.
So Lynn is back.
Okay, well, now we're in the middle of doing something, so you gotta wait just 1 second. I have to find some desktop.
Let me.
There it is.
Okay, I'm unmuted. I'm back. Sorry. You're moving on with Dennis. That's good.
Just
Doing the flashing thing.
Scroll down. Presentations.
Do you want to get PowerPoint up?
I can only do one thing at a time. Give me 1 second.
Cymbidium Companions.
We hear your,
Sure.
Lynn, we hear your chit chat.
Can I
Yep, talking to my husband, my technical advisor here.
Right, but we all hear it.
Yeah.
So what?
Put that there. I'm gonna close this. We're doing surgery. We'll be done in just a minute.
The doctor's working.
It didn't go away.
There it is.
Happy belated birthday, Dennis.
Thank you.
Okay, now we're gonna plug everything back in.
I'm
Is
only
it too many cooks or too
9 years
many surgeons?
We're in the dot. Okay, that's back.
old. I am September 15th.
That's back.
Okay.
What's going on? Okay, Lynn. Let me see where you are.
I see it.
I'm here. I'm back.
Did you share your screen?
I can.
Okay, we'll give it third time's a charm.
Okay. I just clicked share screen. Let's see.
Voila. Please.
Okay, ready to do this?
Yep.
All right. So let's take this. Go share screen. All right.
Maybe screen 1, I think.
Yep. And share sound. Super.
Okay. Something happened.
All right.
Tell me what you're seeing.
A split screen with show and tell and the yellow flower.
So we're seeing this.
We are seeing your speaker notes, Lynn. We're not seeing the.
Okay, we'll switch it. We'll switch it.
Oops. We are so patient.
There we go. There you go.
Okay, you got it.
Yay.
Let's see.
You don't see the split screen anymore?
Oh,
Nope.
it's perfect. Perfect.
Oh, yeah, here we go. Dennis, I'm so sorry to hold you up.
It's okay.
Move this out of the way.
It's not even 8 o'clock.
Okay, you ready? Okay, so here we go. Maybe.
See down here, these arrows?
Okay.
Yay, okay,
So,
unveil it.
This is Andrea
Okay.
Lee's BLC Picotee Passion by Elsie Tokyo Magic. This is an unregistered hybrid that she got at the SFOS meeting member sale last year. It's the first time it's bloomed for her. She has another inflorescence ready to open. This is a beautiful flat flower with a gorgeous lip. And we can see a lot of the great Laelias and Cat Laelias in the background if you look at the family tree. Click the right place here, see if I can get it to go down to another one. There we go. So this is a beautiful showing from Tom Pickford's Cat Lay Bicolor. He has 10 flowers on one inflorescence, which is pretty unusual. This is a very dark color form, makes a nice contrast between the bronze sepals and petals and that fuchsia eye-popping lip. This is a Brazilian species. It's found primarily in the coastal mountains up to about 6,000 feet of elevation. So Tom grows this very successfully in his cool greenhouse, which will soon be getting down into the low 40s at night in Bolinas. But this is Tom's Cattleya facilis. This is a primary hybrid of Cattleya bicolor, which we just saw, crossed with the Cattleya Gowdy Eye. And it obviously gets its dramatic spotting from the pod parent Gowdy Eye, which is another Brazilian coastal species. These are big 3-inch waxy flowers. The side lobes partly enclose the nose, which is the column. These are fragrant, long-lasting flowers, and Tom has 9 flowers on this inflorescence.
Beautiful.
This is Tom's Cattleya Gowdy Eye, another primary hybrid of 2 Brazilian species. This is Tigrena by Logifolium. The cross was first made in 1897 and continues to be remade by hybridizers. And that's resulted in many different color forms from this delicate lavender blue to magenta, to chartreuse, to everything in between, with various amounts of spotting on the sepals and petals. Logifolium is a cooler grower than Tigrena, and it brings temperature tolerance to this hybrid, which is a good thing. Tom grows it in his cool greenhouse, and he has 8 flowers on this blooming. It's very nice, Tom. This is Tom's ginormous Stanhopa Tigrena hanging gardens, a species from Mexico, found at elevations from around 6,500 feet, grows on oak trees and thick forests, and hanging gardens, the clonal name, indicates it's a plant from Dan Newman's wonderful nursery. Tom says this flower literally popped to open as he walked by it, and once it fully opened, it's about 7 inches across. The inflorescences arise from the base of the pseudobulb, and they go directly downward. So for this reason, they need to be cultivated in a wire basket so the inflorescences have a way to escape. Bright indirect light, and it's fine with nighttime temperatures in the low 40s, and this is very, 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 very fragrant. Judy Carney shows us Hyacinthoides, which she grows in her intermediate greenhouse in Petaluma. She has a fabulous number of spikes on this blooming, each up to about 30 flowers. So this is a great blooming Judy, who's standing here next to me. While it was previously in the genus Uria and then in Pinalia, the geneticists currently have moved it to Bryobium Hyacinthoides, but I'm not going to change my tag on my plant. This is a species found on the Malaysian peninsula, and it grows epiphytically at elevations from about 1,500 to 5,000 feet. The flowers are about 1 inch across, and the inflorescence can arise, this is unusual, from anywhere along the pseudobulb.
Hey.
You can see that the plant likes to send out a lot of fine air roots around the base of the pot.
Wow. Can they hear me? Wow.
It can resulk, it can sulk after repotting. So be sure it has new root tips if you're thinking about repotting or dividing yours. This is Judy's Know Bulban munificum Pauwila, HCC AOS. There are 2 species in the genus Know Bulban, which is designated Know Bulbum in the AOS award records, I'm not sure. It was segregated from Dendrobium partially because of the fibery leaf sheaths that envelop the pseudobulbs. It actually weaves a basket around the mature pseudobulbs, as we can see in the left-hand photo here from Judy. I also read that the blossoms close at night and they reopen in the morning, but Judy says she doesn't visit it after dark, so she cannot attest to that. This species is endemic to New Caledonia at elevations up to about 2,300 feet. It grows on the trunks and branches of moss-covered trees in shady, humid forests. So that tells us the conditions it likes. This is an eye popper, and it's the applaud meter for Judy. This is Judy's Catiliaforbesi aurea form, aurea meaning golden yellow. This is a Brazilian species. Forbesii was once a common epiphyte in the coastal swamps and riverside forests from east of Rio de Janeiro to southwest Sao Paulo. However, clearing land for agriculture has severely depleted the population, and plants are now found only in small numbers in a narrow band near the coast. The trees on which Catiliaforbesi grows are generally draped with Spanish moss and heavily laden with wet moss, lichens, bromeliads, and other epiphytes. So it likes good moisture, good humidity year round, and dappled light. This is a small plant. It's only up to about 8 inches, so it's a good windowsill grower if you can provide the moisture it needs. Judy purchased this as a seedling in 2016 at the Redlands Orchid Show in Florida, and this is its first blooming. Very pristine flower. This is Stuart Menaker's Dendrobium Logifolium. Stuart says they planted it in their living wall about 3 years ago. Year 1, no flowers. Last year was year 2, 1 spike. This year is year 3, 22 spikes. There are about 1,500 half-inch flowers and a beautiful fragrance on this plant. It reminds Stuart of what is often said about planting a new tree. First year they sleep, second year they creep, third year they leap. So this one's now leaping. This is an epiphytic species from Borneo and Malaya down to New Guinea from 2,200 to 7,300 feet. So it can be grown in a wide range of temperatures. It's super to see how Stuart and Carrie are growing it. It's very nice. Applause for this one. There you go. Stuart also grows his Leptodes bicolor on his living wall. This is a species found in wide distribution in Brazil and Paraguay in the subtropical forest. It's a good windowsill candidate because it grows intermediate to warm, medium light, moderate humidity, so it's a pretty rewarding plant to grow. It needs less watering after it flowers, but not a true rest. The flowers are up to about 2 inches, which is very large for the size of this miniature plant. It has nearly cylindrical leaves. I have read that in Brazil, extracts from this plant seed, from the seed capsules, have been used to flavor milk and ice cream and sherbet, just like we use vanilla. Stuart's Phalaenopsis borneensis. He bought this on SFOS's recent visit to California Orchids and Bolinas. And in case you missed it, Mary is having her annual fall sale on Saturday, September 18th, a week from this Saturday. Stuart grows this in his orchid case. Phal borneensis is actually a color form of Phal cornucervi. As the name suggests, this small phal is from Borneo, where it is a warm to cool growing epiphyte. It blooms from spring through fall, and don't cut off the flower spikes because they'll continue to bloom for several years until they turn brown. Don't cut them off. This is Glees Cat Lia, which she bought from an SFOS member, but it's lost its tag. So if anyone here recognizes it, please use chat to let Gia know the name. This is a lot of flowers. Nice job, Gia. Susan Anderson shows us Gongora Galliana Christian variety luteola. Luteola meaning yellow, which these unusual flowers certainly are. The typical color form is shown in the small photo on the left. This is a species endemic to southern Mexico at elevations from 2,000 to almost 6,000 feet, so it adapts to a fairly wide range of temperatures. The pendulous inflorescences arise from the base of the pseudobulbs, so it needs to be grown in a basket to allow the inflorescences to hang down, as Susan has it here. This is a great flowering. Nice job, Susan. This is Susan's Laelia deyana. This is another Brazilian species. The plants grow in bright, indirect light on moss or lichen-covered trees, most often close to streams or near water seepages at about 3,000 to 4,200 feet. So they like good humidity, intermediate temperatures. It's a small 6-inch plant with 2-inch flowers, which don't open completely, but it's a charming little flower with a boldly striped lip. And this is Laelia deyana, not to be confused with Cat Lay Deyana, which is a natural hybrid of Catiliaforbesi bicuttata. I showed down at the bottom right, and it certainly looks very different. So even though Cat Lay and Laelia are being pretty confused these days, not this one. This is Susan's Robichettias arena. There are 82 species of monopodial epiphytes in this genus from India and Malaysia. characterized by a pendant inflorescence. Their culture is about the same as for Vanda, so warm and bright. This species, Serena, is from the Philippines. The upper flowers in this picture are actually open. They're bell-shaped and they don't open widely, but in composite, they're really quite spectacular on a small plant that's only about 6 inches. I don't think we see these often enough. This is pretty cool. Tanya Lamb shows us Aranthiformosa, a species endemic to Madagascar, where it grows epiphytically in very wet, mossy forests at elevations under 5,000 feet and in shady conditions. Aranthi's inflorescences can take months to form and should not be removed until it's obvious that they're dead, when they turn brown, because they, as long as they're alive, they keep reblooming off and on from the same spike. It obviously has a very pendulous flowering habit, so it needs to be grown in a hanging basket to let the spike hang down. Shady, humid, well-watered conditions and fertilizer year-round. The arrangement of these flowers, I think, is really lovely. This is Tanya Lamb's Habaneri rhodokyla. And Cardinal's Roost is the most awarded clone of this charming little, this is a terrestrial species found in tropical grasslands and forests in Southeast Asia. Habanerias are deciduous and they die down completely after flowering, leaving just a little fleshy tuber under the ground. When the plant's dormant, it needs little to no water, but as the new shoot appears, it's time to water and keep it wet until after flowering has occurred. Mainly what we see here in the picture is the big showy lip, which comes in various color forms from this lovely coral to scarlet and yellow. The sepals and petals are up at the top and they form kind of a greenish hood over the column. Habanerias are not the easiest to grow successfully over a period of several years. Tanya's doing a great job with hers. This is Tanya's Dendrobium Qf Makani, which she purchased as an unregistered cross of Dendrobium Dawn Marais by Dendrobium Pensang. It was just registered by Quintal Farms in Hawaii in 2020, registered as Qf Makani, and it has a spectacular lip with raised keels or with stripes in the lip to lure the pollinator to come hither. This hybrid and its parents are also good windowsill candidates because they like bright indirect light and intermediate temperatures, meaning into the low 60s or high 50s at night. As we can see, Tanya successfully grows a wide variety of orchids, including this Vanda Hawaiian Verde. This is a primary hybrid of Vanda vietnamica by Sanderiana, and it looks like Tanya has 3 spikes on this blooming. Like most Vandas, it needs bright light, warm temperatures, and is ideally grown in a basket or mounted with daily watering in the summer. And it's a heavy feeder, so be sure to fertilize it. And from our president, Jeff Harris, this is Bulbophyllum dentifurum. Bulbophyllum is the largest genus of orchids with over 1,500 species, and it's also the most geographically diverse. They all have in common the hinged lip. The lip bounces up and down to trap the pollinator inside up against the pollinia. And many bulbos have this rambling growth habit that you see in Jeff's picture with the rhizomes taking the plant off in all directions. They're very rewarding as they grow vigorously and they flower regularly with the right conditions, which is generally diffuse light, year-round water and fertilizing and intermediate temperatures. So bulbos are a good choice for windowsill growing. And dentifurum, this species, is from Thailand and Malaysia. This is Jeff Vandicostylus, formerly Darwinia, rainbow stars, and the clonal name is yellow Sprite. This is a charming small orchid. It's 75% Neo-Phoenicia falcata, which we all know and love to grow, but it's been hybridized for other color forms because Neos really just come in white or a little bit off green. So it's been hybridized for other color forms like this delightful yellow Sprite. There's also a bluey purple color form, and you do have room for this one in your collection. It's small, it likes bright light, cool to warm temperatures, and it's easy to please this little guy. This is Jeff Certicalum macranthum. There are about 185 species of Certicalums. They were separated from Oncidium because of their growth habit and the plant characteristics. So for once, the splitters prevailed over the lumpers in the taxonomy world. Macranthum means large flowered, and this macranthum does have the largest flowers of all the certicilums. They're up to about 4 inches. It's found in the upper elevations of the Andes from Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. It's a terrestrial growing at around 9,000 feet in misty uplands, and that tells us it can be grown cool to cold and always kept moist. If you're looking for one of these, Mary Nisbet often has a couple of these available at her fall sale, which, as I mentioned, is Saturday, September 18th. I love this orchid, but it's not a windowsill candidate because it's a large plant and the branched inflorescence often can reach 10 feet or more. As you can see in Jeff's photo, this is in his intermediate greenhouse up in the moderately bright light area, and the spike is rambling around the rafters. It rambles for several months before the buds actually open. Roberta Fox shows us Ornithophora radicans and its species synonyms. Ornithophora is a monotypic genus, meaning there's only one species in this genus, but monotypic genera usually get lumped by those taxonomists, and this one is now called Gomza. Ornithophora means bird bearing, and that's very appropriate because the flowers definitely look like little birds. This is from Brazil, south and southeastern Brazil, elevations around 400 meters. Roberta grows it outside on her Southern California patio. The flowers are only about a 1/4 inch, but there are lots of them and more every year, she says, and they're fragrant, honey scented. This is a beautiful blooming and deserves the applause meter. Yay. This is Roberta's Renanthera mschuttiana, native to Assam, Myanmar, southern China, Laos, and Vietnam. Elevations up to about 5,000 feet. It's very cold tolerant and is growing and blooming beautifully on Roberta's Southern California patio, tolerating winter temperatures into the low 40s and occasionally down to the mid 30s. Renanthera's growing habit is very much like Vanda. They're best grown in wood slat baskets, and as a rule, they like partial to full sun. And unlike Vanda, they prefer water and fertilize after blooming. Inflorescence can be over 2 feet, and the brilliant crimson flowers are long lasting. They're 2 to 3 inches in size. This Roberta shows us Thunia alba. This is a terrestrial species native to a very wide area of Southeast Asia and southern China at elevations from 3,000 to 6,000 meters. It's terrestrial and it goes deciduous after blooming, but don't cut down the old leafless cane. The cane remains, the leaves drop, and those leafless canes supply energy for the next year's growth. Roberta doesn't give it any particular drying out treatment. It grows easily outdoors for her in Costa Mesa. And the crystalline white flowers are up to about 5 inches wide. They nod downwards, so you have to get underneath them to see the beautiful lip. Dave Hermeyer shows us Laelia crispa, horticultural form, meaning it's found in nature, carnea. The name crispa means curled, which describes the roughly pinched lip, and carnea refers to the reddish tones in the lower part of the lip, as we can see in the left-hand picture. This is another Brazilian species, grows in very bright light on the upper branches of tall trees from 2,600 to 3,800 feet of elevation, and large clumps occasionally grow on rocky outcrops exposed to nearly full sun. So that tells us it needs very bright light. The best way to grow it is mounted, as Dave shows us here, because the roots, if the roots stay wet too long, they will rot. He has some happy roots here. And another color form from Dave, this is Laelia crispa, horticultural form vinicolor, referring to the deep wine-colored lip. I think this looks like a nice Merlot. Again, Dave is growing it mounted, draped with some Spanish moss to hold a little more moisture. We can see by the light green leaf color that Dave is growing it very bright, and he's getting good blooming as a result. Laelia crispa is slow to reestablish after being disturbed, so repotting or dividing should only be done when absolutely necessary, which is another reason to grow it mounted so you don't have to disturb it. And if you do have to disturb it, only when new root tips are just beginning to grow. This is Dave's Masdevallia chaparensis, clonal name Rip Hoff. There's a story here. The clonal name Rip Hoff was given to it by a former SFOS member, Hui Chin, when in 1988 he received an 80-point Award of Merit, or AM, on his plant that had 29 flowers and 9 buds on it. He got a low AM, whereas all previous and subsequent AOS awards have been given to Chaperensis with just 2 to 6 flowers on it. So the speculation is that the clonal name reflects his disappointment in the award. At any rate, Dave, this is a beautiful blooming. Chaperensis is a species endemic to one little valley near Cochabamba, Bolivia. It's a small 7-inch plant with flowers which are about 1 inch wide, 4 inches long, including the caudae or the tails. These are gorgeous colors. Kate Klum shows us Ananther Orthopoda. This epiphytic species is endemic to central Madagascar, where it's found in humid, shady evergreen forests. The name Orthopoda means it's the straight-footed Aranthis. Kay's grows in the intermediate greenhouse, and she says the mound is about 5 inches. So we can see this is a small plant. The wiry stem bears just 1 or 2 apple green flowers. The first AOS award on this was to Lil Severin, who many of you knew, in 1975 here in San Francisco with 1.5 inch large flower. And Kay's Mysticidum, I have trouble pronouncing this, Tanganii cans, I think. This is a twig epiphyte found in mid-Africa, Tanzania, Malawi, Zambia, at elevations of 4,200 to 8,000 feet. So it can take very cool nighttime temperatures. It's a miniature species. Kay says the mound is only about 3.5 inches, and it grows beautifully for her in the intermediate greenhouse. The flowers are about 1.5 inches, and they're nocturnally scented, which tells us it is pollinated at night, probably by a small moth whose proboscis can reach down into the nectaries that we see in Kay's photos, those tubes hanging below the flowers. And Kay's Pleurothallus or Anathalus eugenii. There's very little information on this that I could find other than it's from Sao Paulo, state of Brazil, and it's a shade grower, as are most Pleurothallus. Kay has this in the intermediate greenhouse on a mount of about 3.5 inches. So this is a charming miniature. And Kay's Silogony usitana. Silogony is a most interesting genus of about 200 species found in all 4 climates. The warm growers want water year round, while the colder growing species need a dry rest in winter. Usitana is one of the warm growers, found only on the island of Mindanao in the Philippines at around 2,500 feet. It blooms successively, just 1 flower at a time, on a zigzagging pendulous inflorescence, which can bear over 20 flowers over a long period of time. And the flower is spectacular, as we can see in Kay's photo. The creamy white sepals and petals contrasting with the burnt orange lip. Our own Cindy Hill holds the only FCC on this, and also a CCE for cultural excellence with her plant, which I show at the right here, because it shows the growth habit of a mature plant. It keeps producing 1 bloom that drops, it makes a little zigzag in the inflorescence, and it makes another bloom, just 1 at a time. Kate grows hers in an intermediate greenhouse. Kim Ying Yang shows us, this is a new genus to me, or hybrid genus, Procatavala golden peacock. This is a complex hybrid with its family tree shown at the right. The striking golden orange flowers are speckled with red in the lip, and they're about 3 inches across. It looks like this is growing in a greenhouse or a sunroom, but with its parentage, it would be a good windowsill candidate with bright indirect light and the same temperatures you enjoy in your home. Very cheerful little thing. This is Kim Ming's Dialeclia Snowflake by Brassavola Little Stars, which was just registered in 2019 as another new hybrid genus named Gerberara Lucinda Knott. Kim Ming says this is a real favorite and is compact and vigorous. Unfortunately, it's not fragrant. It's growing on a western windowsill with 2 T5 LED shop light strips as supplemental lighting. This is really a beautiful blooming. And this is Kim Ming's BLC Pauwela Polka Dots Valley Isle crossed with Cat Lay interglossa exotic orchids, which was just registered since Kim Ming purchased the plant. It's now called RLC Happy Freckles. Kim Ming was expecting something spotty, but it turned out great regardless. It's a complex hybrid, and these hybrids are being bred for temperature tolerance to make them good choices for windowsill growers and hobbyists like all of us. These colors are really gorgeous. And this is Cat Lay or Laelia Perparada, variety Carnea, which Kiming purchased from Tanya Lamb. Kiming's is her favorite variety of Perparada, and the fragrance is just amazing. What would show and tell be without another one of these beautiful Brazilian Laelias? It's just gorgeous. And a good outdoor grower in the Bay Area, protected from direct sun and from rain, if we ever get any rain. Dale Martin shows us a trio of weird and wonderful bulbophyllums tonight. This first one is Bulbophyllum Fritillary florum, rogue reptile, and it does indeed look like a reptile. The species name Fritillary florum means that it is fritillaria-like. And I show to the left a typical Fritillaria meleagris with the same kind of tessellations on the flower. This is a species from New Guinea. It needs warm to hot temperatures, shady location, and ample water year-round to grow well. What we see in Dale's photos are the dorsal sepal on the top and the lateral sepals fused together on the bottom, enclosing the minute petals in a hinged lip that we can't even see. So the pollinator has to know how to get in there to have its way with this cool beauty. And Dale's Bulbophyllum grandiflorum, another species from Papua New Guinea, also is found on the Solomon Islands. And like Fritillary florum, we're seeing the sepals surrounding and enclosing tiny petals in the lip and pollinia. These are low elevation orchids growing in coastal forests, mangrove swamps, and coconut plantations from near sea level to only about 150 feet. So that tells us that what they need to be successful like Dale's is warm temperatures. This is a foul smelling blossom, like many bulbos, as it's pollinated by flies who are attracted to the lovely carrion-like aromas. And this is Dale's Bulbophyllum orthosepalum. They just get more weird and wonderful, don't they? This marvelous species is also endemic to Papua New Guinea, where it grows in rainforests at elevations up to about 2,000 feet. Again, we see the sepals creating an enclosure for the petals and lip, probably a genetic strategy to protect it from predators and or the harsh climate. The outstanding characteristic of these flowers is its very unpleasant odor, which is said to smell of dead meat. It is very attractive to blowflies. This is a very large plant with pendulous leaves up to 3 feet long. Rainfall in the habitat is lower in winter, but there's no extended dry season. These do need to be kept moist, not soggy, but moist. And this is Dale's Papiopetalum Yangji hawk, primary hybrid, meaning it's a cross of just two species of Paph sanderianum by Paph anitum. It gets those long, graceful, ribbon-like petals from the sanderianum parent. The petals are often 18 to 20 inches long. The dots on the petals and the striping on the dorsal sepal are really striking. It needs shaded to dappled light, warm intermediate temperatures, and it does not want to dry out completely between waterings. This is beautiful. Winnie Wang shares with us this Dendrobium Suzy gallus with two nice flower spikes. This is a complex hybrid, as we can see, and the result is this lovely dark amethyst flower. It has received just one AOS award, an award of merit in 2017 to Harry and Susie Gallus, who live in the Carolinas. These Dendrobium hybrids are good windowsill orchids as they need intermediate home temperatures and bright but filtered light, and they're a great addition to any collection. This is Winnie's Hawaiian lava burst, which has an AOS award, Puanani. This is a little delightful hybrid. It's a great windowsill candidate needing bright indirect light and comfortable household temperatures. It looks like Winnie has 4 spikes on it with lots of charming little fall colored 1-inch flowers, which I think have a light fragrance. Very nice job on this, Winnie. This is my Maxillaria scalariformis. Maxillaria is a large genus of about 650 species, which are spread across the tropical and subtropical Americas. Scalariformis is, quote, ladder-like maxillaria, referring to the positioning of the leathery leaves, one above the other along a long cane. It's a species found in Panama rainforests at elevations from about 3,000 to 4,500 feet. So I grow it in my intermediate greenhouse, where it puts on these bursts of little 1-inch pink flowers several times each year. And this is my Gastrocylus humblati, formerly Phaeus humblati. This is a warm to cool growing terrestrial from Panama. It has 2-inch long evergreen leaf, 2-foot long evergreen leaves. And it puts up several spikes of these 2.5-inch flowers over a period of nearly 2 months. I grow it intermediate, potted in a terrestrial mix in fairly bright light. And since nobody sent me any pet orchid photos for this month's pet parade, this is my little English Springer Spaniel puppy who will be coming soon to live with me and my husband. In the photo, she's about 4 weeks old and we'll be visiting her next week for the first time. We hope to bring her home shortly after her 8-week birthday and shots. So be warned, you'll be seeing lots of photos of this cute little Taika. Her name is Sasha. And that's it for me. Thank you. Sorry for all the confusion at the beginning.
Thanks for your persistence and thanks for all the work you always do. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Any questions? All right, we're gonna move on to the speaker.
Outstanding job.
Thank you.
He left.
Dennis left.
Dennis has left the building. Just
That'll
kidding.
teach him.
Just kidding.
Is it too late, Judy?
Do they want to show, do you guys want to show the winning plant?
Dennis left the building. Oh, you couldn't see all that. You couldn't.
Yeah, come on
mute
in.
now.
We'll turn the light on. All right.
We didn't know that. We could see.
Now I just have to figure out how to switch the view. Superman! It's on. I just don't know how to access it again.
And one thing I was thinking might prevent it from doing that.
You were.
Is doing the back of the room. What I'm saying is that maybe it will just go to the other half of the room. No, it really wants to go to that black thing. Okay, never mind.
Okay, we're winners. Okay, so we're about to, before the talk, Amy and Japheth are going to present. So the camera is right here. Camera is right here, so come over here.
Okay, we have another one because, but the other one is way too heavy. And I'm thinking about starting a rule of if it gets too heavy, we have to charge you extra for awards or something, you know. It's like, but anyway, where is, okay, here we go. Is that good? Can we see it?
It has a mind of its own.
It has a mind of its own. This is an unregistered hybrid. Tony's Peggy Son by SL Angel Eyes.
We don't see it.
HC. Oh, sorry. You see it? I don't know how well the camera captures it, but on the petals, they're actually 2 dark eyes. Really, really cute. Really, really good form. HTC 075. And this belongs to Japheth. Okay. And this one is, can anybody guess? It's a Kavaki Eye hybrid. It's a fry.
Is that Myra or no? That's the one
and that one is at HCC of 77. And people are kind of going like, what are you guys talking about? You know,
Yeah, what are you talking about?
the color is beautiful. But with the Kavaki Eye hybrids,
Perfect.
it's
Don't move the camera.
it's almost up to, you have to catch the plant almost at the right hour of judging.
Yeah.
You'll see these flowers flex with the petals and the dorsals, they flex all over the place. Okay.
What's the other parent?
So,
What's the other parent?
what's the other parent, Japheth?
I don't remember.
Do you remember?
It was on the
What's
sheet.
the paperwork?
We planted it.
This is Japheth plant.
Rosaline Dixler.
Yeah, here you go, that's right.
Yeah. That's the eye in the background.
Right. That's beautiful color. But we think that this one can grow up out of blooming to have, higher award potential. So this guy, which is like double product, as you can see. This is a Signosi pineapple popcorn. Again, HCC. This time. Incredibly heavy flowers and substance. And throughout the judging, we were telling our visitors, don't get too close to these plants because if you get too close, the flower will set it. Okay. It will throw its pollen, and it does stick. So a lot of people, when you go to greenhouses, like if you ever go to Fred Clark's greenhouse, try not to go to his greenhouse and sniff. Okay. Well, first of all, he loses all the pollen, he gets really upset. Okay. Second of all, you come out with all kinds of pollen on here. Okay. So this one again is HTC. So this one belongs to China. Yeah, but we have to teach her about like lighter pots. So that's all we have this month. So yay, pretty good for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so. Okay, I'll take the other ones.
Take it to the van.
Try not to drop it. Thank you.
Okay, where's that? Yes. There he is. Okay, so watch this, let's see if this works. I'm looking up lighting. Wait a minute. There he is. Awesome.
You gonna share it?
Yes, I'm gonna turn on your presentation.
So when Jeff asked me, well, practically invited me back, and it's been years, but since
Back
Jeff,
into there.
oh, yeah.
Stand back here and talk over that.
Can you hear me?
Huh? Dennis? Stand here.
Oh, okay.
Talk
Then
over
who's
it.
gonna forward it for me?
Everybody can your remote. Sometimes you can't see. Here's your remote control right here.
Oh, okay. So, when you talk about Cymbidium companions, it's anything that will grow outdoors, actually. And a lot of you people in the San Francisco area, I've seen you on Facebook and you're posting your plants, and a lot of your plants are being grown outdoors. I'm the kind of person that will push the button. It's survival of the fittest. If you die, you die. But then I tell myself, if there's a way, there's a will. And I keep on doing it, and I keep on growing the same plant until they live. And the only reason why I do this is because the species itself can come from a wide range as far as altitude is concerned, right? So orchids are found in everywhere in the world except for the Antarctic. If anybody finds an orchid in the Antarctic, they can make $1 billion. Next.
Excuse me, the slide, and we're only seeing a very narrow band of it, not the whole slide.
Oh, well,
wait a
let's
second.
see.
Hold on one second. Really?
That's better. I see the slideshow.
Actually, can you see Ron? Am I blocking? I'm blocking.
You don't see it now?
Okay.
See the slideshow thing. You don't see nothing.
Now you can. When you weren't in the slideshow mode, at least you could see the images. Now you can't.
Oh.
So they can now?
You can't see it now?
Now I can.
Got it.
Okay,
Now you can.
good. Keep going.
Yeah.
Yes, it's good now. It's good.
So you can find orchids growing at sea level, like in Brazil, Uruguay, Argentina. And actually, if you think about Catiliaforbesi intermedii, so the species can range from anywhere from sea level, which the plant can be about 3 feet tall, to about 3,000 feet in elevation, which the plant can be only about 6 inches tall. So you get the wide range of temperature tolerance, because in Brazil, what they've done is they've taken the lower elevation plant and the higher elevation plant on sip crossing until you get this really temperature tolerant plants. Next. So like Masdevallia, you have the warmer Masdevallias growing in the Caribbean islands. And then you go up to Machu Picchu, Peru, and you got this Masdevallia veitchii growing up to 7,000. Is it 7,500 to 1,300 feet in elevation? And so with a lot of hybridizing going on, you get all these. The purpose of hybridizing with different species is to make everything temperature tolerant. So you got to push the button, tell yourself, can I grow it outdoors? Our winters here in San Francisco area, in the Bay Area, have very cold rain. So most of these plants will grow outdoors with Cymbidiums, but then a lot of times you got to protect them from the winter rain. Otherwise, you end up with plants with a lot of black spots on it, or flowers with a lot of botrytis on it. As far as botrytis is concerned, if you're growing your plants outdoors or you have a drop in temperature, get a can of Lysol, just plain Lysol, and spray it above your plants and let that mist settle down on your buds. And it should solve your botrytis problem, actually. And don't spray it directly at the flower buds, because then they'll bud blast on you. Just above it and let the mist flow down. They come from the subtropic areas, like your Angelicoides and your Cymbidiums. Semi-arid climates, Mexican Laelias. Okay, this is my favorite, Mexican Laelias. They'll take any temperature range. Yeah, they'll take your hot summers, they'll take your cold winters. And if you have the hybrids of these plants, they're wonderful plants to have. Next. Moist, high humidity jungles. Most of your Vandas, now people say Vandas are warm growing. That's not true. There are species that, like the Vanda cerulean, Vanda harvarii, Barnsley, Alpina. I have a lot of these Vandas growing in my unheated greenhouse in Half Moon Bay. And not Half Moon Bay. I moved away from Half Moon Bay. I'm in Daly City. I'm sorry. That's my senior moment right now. And during the winter months, I don't water at all, especially when it rains a lot, because you have a lot of high humidity in the air. And so these orchids just absorbs the moisture from the air. They will survive. Sometimes they look like crap, but then as soon as spring comes along, you water and fertilize them, and they just spring right back. Yeah. The cool areas of the world, Collagenese, Cymbidiums, Paphiopedilums, like Hirsutissimum, Tibetan Plateau. You can grow those outdoors here. Just make sure that the winter rain doesn't get into the crown of your plants. Insigne, that's another one, comes from the high mountainous areas of India. So a lot of these have been used in hybridizing. You know, you get your complex or your what most people think is bulldog Paphiopedilum, but they're called complex Paphiopedilum. And if you have the species background in it, they'll grow outdoors. Definitely. Which one? That's Hirsutissimum. Yeah. So you read a lot of books and they give you the temperature range, right? Most of these temperature ranges come from either the airport, a ranger station. And so certain species might be 100 miles away from these stations. nobody has sat in the wild for a whole year to record all these temperatures. So this is only a measurement for you to gauge how your plant should be grown. But no one tells Mother Nature you're not going to snow on the plants this year because you have weird weather. You know, you're not going to be dry for 6 months because of weird weather. So my belief is let the plants grow. All you have to do is provide them with the best air circulation, good watering, good fertilizing, and good light. Okay. Any questions so far? Oh, you believe in me? You believe in everything I'm telling you, huh?
Wouldn't say that.
Okay, next, intermediate range, next, to warm temperatures. Even the warmest growing plant will adapt to a cool temperature. If you've been to my greenhouse in Daly City, everything is grown under one roof. And I've got Vandas, I've got Phalaenopsis, I've got Cat Layas, you name it. Just been there, they've seen it. And for years and years and years working a full-time job, I let my collection go to crap in a lot of ways. And then all of a sudden now that with COVID, I'm catching up and transplanting, getting things growing a lot better. The stronger your root system, the better your plants will grow, the more flowers you get. This is why Bill loved to grow these specimen-sized plants with a lot of root system on it. Okay. So, like I said, they don't tell you where the plants are at and where these airports are at and ranger stations are at. So push the boundaries when you grow things. And there are a lot of things you can grow outdoors here. Next. So take the genus Cymbidiums, they're in subtropic Asia. They can be from sea level up to several thousand feet in elevation. They will adapt. Next. So for example, this species, a lot of you have grown these. A lot of you have killed a lot of these because you have to learn how to adjust the watering. Like for example, your Goringii and Sinensis during the winter months, they don't like top watering. They like bottom watering. If you go to China, you'll find a lot of these plants are planted on mounds, and then they have water system underneath their roots so that during the winter time, the water doesn't get to the tiny inflorescence that starts to develop in October, November. They start to develop, and as soon as they're about 1 to 2 inches tall, they go dormant. And if they get wet during the winter months, they die. These inflorescences will just rot. So then, during the spring, they give them a lot of top watering, and the inflorescence starts growing. So if you haven't been successful in growing these plants, you gotta kind of mimic what they have in the wild. So here's some of the photographs that we have on Tracianum, very fragrant, lots of flowers. Insignia alba on the upper left, beautiful. Canoniculatum on the bottom left, and Parishii on the bottom right. And a lot of these species have been used in hybridizing. So your Cymbidiums basically are temperature tolerant plants. In Hawaii, they've been using a lot of warmer growing species so that now the people in Hawaii can, or in the Southeast Asian countries under warmer temperatures, can grow a lot of these Cymbidiums. Even if they say it's a warm growing Cymbidium or a warm tolerant Cymbidium, they'll take our climates here also. Oops. Floribundum, again, Goringii, deyana, and Sinensis on the lower left. Very fragrant flowers. Dendrobiums. A lot of people say, oh, I can't grow dendrobiums. Well, you're growing the warmer evergreen dendrobiums. Probably Dendrobium Phalaenopsis from Australia. Dendrobiums of the Philippines, of Thailand, lower elevations. Dendrobiums in Papua New Guinea, going along the rivers where it's a lot warmer. Well, there are cool growing species also. And a lot of dendrobiums, also the deciduous dendrobiums, will drop their leaves during the winter months. So what happens is that you don't have to water. And with your cold climates here in the Bay Area, you don't have to worry. But then during the spring, as they start growing, that's when you start watering and fertilizing, getting the growth very strong. And then they'll start giving you a lot of flowers on the inflorescence. Next. The Australian dendrobiums like Tetragonium, Kingianum, Speciosum on the lower left. Some of them are found growing in bright direct sunlight, high in the elevated mountains. Some of them are growing in kind of semi-dark forest area, and during the winter months they receive snow on their leaves. They're one of the best dendrobiums to grow. They don't hold their flowers long, but they're fragrant. And sometimes you have secondary spikes coming out of these plants, so you have a longer blooming period. Speciosum, I haven't seen that done with Speciosum. They don't last more than about a week or two, but they're gorgeous. Okay, Bill knows that. Densiflorium, Tristifolium, Monomilliforme on the bottom right. They come from Japan. They come from China, Hong Kong area. So test the waters. Grow them outdoors. One, if you kill the plant, don't blame it. Okay, but don't put all of your plants all at the same time in different areas of your yard. Test the different plants. Buy cheap Dendrobium, Kingianum, or Kingianum hybrids. You know, pay $8 for a keiki or whatever. Put it in certain areas of your yard and see if they flourish. And that's what I've been doing all these years. I grow them in Pleasant Hill. I have Cymbidiums. I have actually I've got some Angraecums, Angraecum family. Because in Madagascar, even though it's an African nation, some of these plants come from the higher elevation. Digeria is one of them. So I grow them outdoors in Pleasant Hill. Test the waters of them. Next. The hybrids. A lot of these hybrids are beautiful in color. Next. I'm going by really fast because I know we're getting late here. Helipoxin on the upper left. Can't remember, my mind just went blank, but these Australian dendrobiums, some of them, the inflorescences are very short, but once you get the plants growing in specimen-sized plant, they give you a beautiful bouquet of flowers, and they're very, very fragrant. Next. Gatten Sanrai on the upper right. In Hawaii, they call it Hono Hono orchids or Dendrobium nusmum. They're very fragrant. They drop their leaves during the winter months, and I don't water them at all. And they're growing on the tree in my backyard, Pleasant Hill. Next. Catilias. I grew up thinking Catilias, or was thought that Catilias are only warm growing plants, but they're not. There are a lot of species that will grow cold. Next. Coccinia, deyana, Laelia Perparada on the lower left. They come from southern Brazil. And actually Tuberosa, which is a relative of Laelia Perparada. That's a beautiful
I
one.
like that one, yeah.
Yeah, that one is a really good one, actually, and I killed it.
Killed it.
Yeah, I put it in the wrong place and it died. Next. Cat Lay intermedii, like I told you. Cat Lay loaded GCI on the upper right. These come from the higher elevation of out of Rio going into Petropolis and Therasopolis. And one of the best growers that I've met there was Alvaro Paseo, and he had greenhouses of these plants. And the first time I met Alvaro, and I'm going to his greenhouse like a little kid in the candy store. And so I said, "Oh, Alvaro, this is a water bowl. That's a water bowl." And he goes, "Pick one." And I go, "Okay, here, take it to the show." He said, "No, that's yours." And I still have that plant. Thank you. Laelia anceps, Laelia Gowdiana, all the Mexican Laelias, any other Mexican Laelia hybrids, grow them outdoors. If you can't bloom them in your house, you can't bloom it in your greenhouse, grow it outdoors. So here are some of the hybrids that I have in my greenhouse that I love, and I got actually Santa Barbara Sunset and Wrigley Eye outside in my yard in Pleasant Hill for like 5 years now. And they grow. Next. So upper left is Caligula. Oh boy, don't get old.
Yeah.
I used to know too late. No, Joe, he's still young yet. Collagenese. One of the most beautiful collagen I ever did see grown is at Alvaro Paseo's summer home up in the mountains of Petropolis. We went down this driveway and he had palms on both sides of the driveway. There was all this Cat Lay, or now Laelia Coccinea, all different colors. And when we got to the end of the driveway, to the right-hand side was this tree covered with these white flowers. And from a distance, I looked at it and said, "Oh, what's that?" Well, here goes Collagenea. What's the name? Cristata, yes. My mind just went blank with that. A tree covered with Collagenea cristata. Just growing, and their night temperatures is like San Francisco, up in the high mountain, this area just out of Rio. So all these Collagenes will take the cold temperatures. I've noticed that as the new growth emerges, the inflorescence will start growing, and if the water gets into these new growths, they'll rot. So this is why I say protect the plants. Some of these plants have to be protected from the winter rains. Next. Dendrochilums, they're not as forgiving as big grown cold when they're small plants, but when they're big established plants, I've got 5 pots in my greenhouse that I don't want to transplant. Because once you transplant them and they start falling apart, when you transplant them, they die. Okay. So if you have a massive big plant and you want to grow it outdoors, don't transplant. Or don't divide it. But they still can take the cold temperatures. Vandas. Like I said, not all Vandas are warm grown. I got Vanda Sanderiana up there because for 6 years I grew one, blooming every year in the unheated greenhouse. Until the temperatures went up to 105 degrees when I was in Hawaii, and my waterer went into the greenhouse when it's that hot and watered it from the top to the bottom, which is the big mistake. Because then it took all of the leaves and it all fell off. So you got Havarii, Sanderianum. Sanderianum is kind of iffy for those of you in San Francisco, unless you're in Noe Valley and a little warmer areas of San Francisco. but they have to be completely protected from the rain. On that, next. Cerulean, God, I'm really looking at that. Cerulean, and on the left-hand side is tricolor cerulean. They'll take the cold weather. Next. All of your escocentrums, they're actually cooler growers. Next. And then your hybrids. Next. So these are Vanda chillout actually has Vanda Harvarii is one of the parents. And up is John DeBias, it's the red one on that one there. All of these will grow cool. Next. Cristata hybrid, this is Vanda Paki on the upper right, left, I mean. Cerulean hybrid on the upper, this is Pachara cerulean. And then the bottom two has Vanda Densonianum in the background. Vanda Densonianum I've grown from seedling in my greenhouse, and they're like about 3 feet tall now on some of them, and they're still growing in a cool condition. We all know, we've heard Scott Berry talk about sarcocarluses. Sarcocarlus from Australia, they're great growing, cool growing, bandaceous looking plants, small flowers. They grow into specimen sized plants. They can give you a lot of flowers. Next. Whoa, that's okay. And they come in an array of colors. Some of you have purchased sarcocarluses from Scott Berry when he was in Santa Barbara. I purchased a lot of his flasks and then created community pots on that. And they're gorgeous. Next. Odontoglossums, or once known as Vanda, are all cool growers. There's about 9 species. Next. And they can range from, Amesiana has leaves that can be about, a foot long. The rest can be all miniatures as far as growth is concerned, but they have pencil-like leaves. They like to grow upside down, actually. If you plant them upright, they kind of grow and then they kind of tilt and they want to go back down. So I'm mounting a lot of my plants to grow upside down. Some of them are fragrant. Next. Oncidiums. A lot of you think that oncidiums are warm grower, but not. There's a lot of species that will grow cold. Actually, Todd Kennedy has a Oncidium flexuosum that's about 2.5, 3 feet wide in a big ball, growing in the unheated greenhouse in Daly City. And they've been in bloom the whole year round. Most of them are known as dancing dollies because they look like little women with hula skirts on or skirts on. The bottom two are very fragrant flowers. Most of them will not have fragrance to it, but the bottom two, Girafforum on one side and once known as Oncidium ornithorhynchum on your right, it's not ornithorhynchum, but Soriana. Was been misnamed for over 100 years, and now it's been corrected. Next. This is what brassias look like. They're called spider flowers, Paphiopedilum, and Phragmipedium. A lot of cool growers. Hirsutissimum on the upper left, Arminiacum on the upper right, Melopoense in the lower left. And with no points, you have a fragrance of raspberries. And if you grow them very well, they can have up to 3 flowers per fluorescence. Most of the time you see it with only one because it's not grown properly. And insignia on the bottom. And of course, your Phalaenopsis, they're very lovely. They actually, most of your Phalaenopsis, when you grow them, when you go into the water and harvest them, they're, when you dig them out of the ground, the hole fills up with water. And you get things like Bulbophyllum grow in a stream, along the stream with running water, the stream overflows, they're covered with water until the water recedes. I don't recommend it to do it because they're not as wild like they are, but yeah, they can take a lot of water. Actually, a lot of people in the southern states and on the East Coast and Florida would sit the pot of Phalaenopsis in about an inch of water constantly. You do that all the time? Yeah. So if you're not having successful growing method for these plants, sit them in water. Next. So, of course, the rule to remember for most of your orchids, spring and summer is the growing season. That's when you need a lot of water, you need a lot of fertilizer. Except for some that grows during the fall, winter, which could be a lot of your cat lay species, your bifoliates, and that. And this was D&D flowers in Half Moon Bay. I shared a greenhouse with the late Bartley Schwartz, who was a very good friend of mine. It was 3,000 square feet of space, and I ran out of space. I had orchids hanging, I had them below underneath the bench, and I grew them wherever they wanted to grow. Some Cat Lays did not like all the same conditions, so some of them moved to one side of the greenhouse, to the other side, and so are the other plants. So I had Cat Lia's epidendrums, Dendrobiums, Cymbidiums. I had Ananther. That plant was given to me by Bartley when it was only a foot tall. It grew that large, and I still have the same plant in the Daly City greenhouse. That's almost reaching to the top of the greenhouse, 10 feet tall. And it blooms every year in an unheated greenhouse. Next. Masdevallias, Zygopetalums, you name it. I'm one of those that you're the kid in the candy store, if it has a name orchid, you buy it. Laelias, Anthuriums, Bromeliads, Paphiopedilum, Neobenthemia gracilis, an African species that I was told was a warm grower. Grew in my Half Moon Bay greenhouse with no heat. Lycastes, Australian Dendrobiums. And these are all my favorite blooming plants in my greenhouse, and I have most of them. I think I killed the, which one did I kill? That Paphiopedilum I killed. Next. And out of all that I have, Laelia Perparadas, because they are so temperature tolerant, it's unbelievable. They're fragrant. I have friends that live in San Jose that grows them outdoors. Bill, your greenhouses would be that. You grow them with Cymbidiums. Half Moon Bay. I mean, Half Moon Bay. Yeah, but they grow like weeds. Yeah, they are like weeds. They grow very large. It's unbelievable. Next. And I want to thank these people for helping me with their slides, some of the slides, and giving me the plants that I have actually. Any questions there? I went through this really fast, but the culture of, during the summer months, sometimes I water twice a week in Daly City. My plants in Pleasant Hill outdoors, sometimes I have to water them daily, especially when it's not like this week, 100 degrees every day. And I go early in the morning, 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, make sure that I water them down really good because by 9 o'clock they'll be bone dry. And then after every watering, I apply a weak solution of 20-20-20 water soluble fertilizer. And then I rotate that with the MSC fertilizer that I get from Bill when they do their ordering for the Cymbidium Orchid Society. And if I run out of fertilizer, guess what? I use Miracle Grow. It works. Miracle Grow actually was developed for orchids and then it became a household fertilizer. And I used to say, you know, don't buy the high nitrogen fertilizer, the high volume fertilizer. Just buy a key nutrient fertilizer because the plant will absorb only what it needs, and the rest gets. But
The camera getting back.
oh, it does. Hello, it's me. But it absorbs only what it needs, and the rest gets deposited as salts on your root system, which will take care of your root system, or on your pots. You know, if you have that problem, the best thing to do is just keep your plant well watered and water again just before it dries out completely. That way you don't have salt buildup in your root system. Yeah. Any questions here? Yes.
I've been trying to grow Vandas outside. I get a lot of sun. I'm in Carroll Hill. I'm not that far from Know Bulban.
Okay.
And so I get sometimes 4 to 6 hours of sun a day.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I could grow Vandas in the sunshine, but it flowered once and died.
Okay. What type of Vanda did you try to grow?
You have the picture of the blue one with the
Cerulean, Vanda cerulean, or Vanda cerulean hybrids?
Yeah.
Okay. They need water every day if you have it in. Yeah, that's what happened is then the leaves started to fall off, right? Okay. Vandas don't have a pseudobulb on them. So the root system, as soon as they dry out, they need to receive moisture again. Okay. So what some people would do is pot it in pots and then water it very well. And then when it's almost dry out, water again. If they're in baskets, it's a daily routine of watering. Yeah. So you might want to try it again, but you will have to be working really hard watering it every day. You can skip a day, but after that, they'll look at you and go, yeah, she doesn't like me. So I'm going to go to orchid heaven. Yeah. So a lot of, they are like Vanda cerulean, even in my greenhouse in Daly City, which we have pretty good humidity from the fog. They suffer when I don't water them 2-3 times a week. Okay. But in that area in Daly City, we do get the fog roll in, so they get moisture. Where you're at, it's everyday watering. Okay. Try it again. But water it every day. Another thing that could happen is if you have high salts in your water, but then you're on Hetchy.
Well, it was right near a fountain, my fountain, so it's not the humidity, but I didn't water it.
Yeah, that'll be the biggest problem. Any other?
Is being used. They're taking water from wells and things too.
Yeah, they're blending waters now, so then you might have higher salts also in the water. And that is very detrimental to a lot of vandaceous plants on that. Any other questions there?
The Asian Cymbidiums, they were speaking about how you have to have water at the base and they're starting to initiate bud spikes. So I have an Asian Cymbidium now, I think has 2 spikes that are forming. So should I start putting it in a bucket with water at the bottom or water only from the top?
Water from the bottom up.
So just set it in water.
Don't set it in water, but but you can soak it in water up to, the height of the media and let it soak for maybe 10, 15 minutes and then drain it. But once that inflorescence starts to get wet during the winter months, they can rot on you and then they won't produce flowers for you. Oh, the question was, with the Asian Cymbidiums, Gongora Galliana, when they start to produce their inflorescence during their fall months, whether to top water or bottom water, and I suggest that they don't sit it in water, but every day, but then soak it in water from the bottom up to the level of the media, and then drain it. Yeah, 3 to 5 minutes soaking would be fine. Okay. Any other questions there? So we're all going to grow good, happy orchids so that when the show comes along in 2022, you're all bringing in your flowers, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we will.
Good. On the raffle table, there's some unusual species in there, like should I mention that? No. Cymbidium dianum red. I got a couple of that in. I've got a dwarf of the Cymbidium Aleofolium. There's some mounted Dendrobium moniliforme, the smaller growing type. There's some Cerulean Cat Lay seedlings. I love Cerulean Cat Lay, so it's Jeff said bring 20 plants, and there's 30 plants on the table there. Okay, and I'm going to throw a couple of the Cymbidiums in spike for the last 2 plants on the table. Okay, so if you haven't, they're still selling tickets. Yep, if you haven't bought your tickets, buy more tickets. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to do the raffle, the Zoom raffle first for the tiny jungle plants, right? So we have 10 tiny jungle $20 gift codes to give out.
This is the last 2 plants on the raffle table.
Okay. I'm gonna put them, actually, these are displayed, these are just, those are going on.
Yeah.
So, let's see, so there's 30 people online still. So first we're doing the people on Zoom. So then we can let them.
Then let them go.
So of the people on Zoom, let's see, how am I going to figure this out? Okay, we're going to generate random numbers. Here we go. So actually, why don't I do this? Of the people on Zoom, can you raise your hand? You know how to raise your hand on Zoom on the little, it's got a feature. Will you raise hand at the bottom? Does it do that?
Oh, no.
Yep.
Yes.
We see some raised hands already. And the thumbs up.
Some people can. Okay.
I don't see a raise hand button on there.
Okay, but Roberta.
Me either.
I'm here.
Click on participants. Click on participants and you'll see the raise hand.
Okay, good. I'm just scrolling through to see how many people are interested in the raffle, because we have 10 tickets to give away. And we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 10. It actually sorts them in Zoom. So if you look on here.
Andrea, I know you used to give art.
Okay, so as it turns out, I think the people that want them can have a free ticket. I just have to mark it down. So I'm gonna do a screenshot. Okay, so I'm gonna read out the names. Hey guys in the room, can you stop talking for a minute? Thank you. Just 1 minute. All right, so I see Deborah, Hannah, Ron Ludwig, Vince, Mary, Winnie, Carolyn, Bill, Jeff. Oh, wait, now there's more of them.
Oh, okay.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, we're good. Jeff, Glenn, and Roberta. And Heidi, right? Okay. We will follow up with you afterwards by email. We have a picture of it. Did I get everyone? Any questions? If you're on mute, come off mute. We're going to start the in-room raffle, and I'm going to turn off the Zoom now. Okay? Thank you for your cooperation, patience, and we're learning for next month. October 5th is the next meeting. There's going to be a show committee meeting. Contact Corey if you're interested in that mid-month. It's not next Monday, but the Monday after.
I'll be sending out an invite, but if you want to be invited and you haven't been before, please email me.
All right. Okay. Thank you. We're gonna hang up now.